Today's guest is Terry Crosby.
If you're feeling it, follow it.
From the streets of Toledo, Terry rose to become an All-American NBA draft pick. He shared the court with the NBA legends.
That was the game where the first NBA glass backboard was shattered.
But instead of staying in the NBA, his path carried him across Europe, where he played 13 seasons in 4 different countries.
I tore the league up. I averaged 40 points a game.
Wow. Along the way, Terry reinvented himself again and again, from athlete to mentor, from competitor to community leader. In this episode, Terry opens up about the power of intuition.
I looked at Cotton Fitzsimmons and said, no, that's not what I'm here for.
And how a path he never expected became the one he was meant to walk.
And it was the worst decisions I've ever made in my life.
This is a story about resilience, reinvention, and the impact one man can have when he follows where life leads. What would you tell yourself about the value of intuition?
3 things that you need. You need it. You need it. You need it.
Let's dive into life with Terry Crosby and discover how intuition turned his story into something bigger than just basketball. Terry.
How you doing? Yes, Tom, how are you, man?
Good.
Good.
Okay, so give me a bit about your background.
I'm a Toledo native. For me, I'm very proud of it. Went to grade school here, went to high school here, went on the University of Tennessee on a basketball contract, got drafted in the 3rd round by the Kansas City Kings. Then they are now called the Sacramento Kings. I opened 4 regular season games and unfortunately got released from the team. Came back home to work a little while in Toledo, Ohio, at a nuclear site in Newport, Michigan.
Okay.
And then I got a call from a guy by the name of Craig Lynch. He went to high school here, believe it or not, Start High School. And he called me one day and said, hey, this is Craig Lynch. I'm now coaching in Great Britain for you to consider coming over and playing for me. We're going back in the early 80s. And at the time, when he asked me, I knew nothing about Great Britain. And in conversation with him, and I said, Great Britain? Is that where they get around in a horse and buggy? He was like, Crosby, I'm not sure we want to recruit you now.
I got to send this to all my British friends because they're going to die over that.
Yeah, it was like so funny. I ended up accepting the offer and I went to Great Britain. I think it was 1980. And I ended up having 13 great years playing professionally overseas in 4 different countries.
What was the 4 countries?
I started off in Great Britain. Then I went to Geneva, Switzerland, a little small village outside of Geneva called Neon, in Florence, Italy.
Okay.
Florence, Italy. I just love it. The style, the fashion, the leather.
How was that, like going to these different countries, being an athlete and also being a Black man?
That was very, very challenging. Okay. And when I say challenging, a lot of people have the impression, because we speak the same language, Brits, we both speak English. Yeah. A lot of people think that it's just like America. Well, no, it's not. Britain is really nothing like America. There's some similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. Being born and raised here in the States, never having the opportunity to travel overseas, it was a really, really challenging time for me. I had to really dig deep and just become accustomed to the way different parts of the world and the different things they do and the language and the food and just everyday habits were quite a challenge for me.
Yeah. Of the countries, what was the most friendly?
You know what? I just fell in love. I like the Brits. The Brits, they are very similar to us here in America. When it comes to hospitality, the warmth, showing the love, Italy by far was my favorite. It really was. The beautiful woman and the way they cook the home-cooked food and make their own sauces. It was just such a beautiful country with beautiful people. So,
how was France?
You know what? And I would say this, I didn't like France at all. I did not like France at all. I just felt it was a little dirty. I pay attention to small details and, a lot of the men and women, their fingernails, they have little dirt underneath their fingernails. I'm like, ugh. I know that's weird.
The hygiene is very different.
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend is Brazilian. Brazilians, they'll take 2 to 3 showers a day. Sometimes the Americans are in between there
Right.
and the Europeans.
Right.
Sometimes I'm shocked with the Europeans.
Right.
So
Yes.
the perspective as an American is that they're just like a higher class typically, at least with education. And then
Absolutely.
and hear and see someone who's speaking like very well articulately.
Yes. Yes.
And then you're like, can you brush your teeth? So yeah, the culture difference is interesting.
Yeah. The British, they don't have very good teeth.
Did you ever run into anything like that specifically with the French?
During my time in Vichy, it didn't last very long because I just wasn't a good fit for their professional basketball team. I only was there for about 60 days. But during that time, that was one of the most difficult countries that I found myself trying to get settled in. And I can settle anywhere, but France was a little tough. Out of all the 4 countries, France was probably the toughest. So I was kind of glad when they did release me. You know.
Was Italy the last one?
Yeah, Italy was my last
experience. And then that was like
experience.
kind of ended it with a bang.
I went through Great Britain. I tore the league up for 3 or 4 leagues. I averaged 40 points a game.
Wow.
We were on a losing team. I don't know if you know this, but at the time, and I think it still applies, you could only have 2 Americans per team. They
don't have those rules with their football leagues, like the soccer.
Right.
They don't. Oh, you have to be from Great Britain. They'll hire anyone from anywhere.
We could only play 2 Americans at the time, which equaled things because most Americans were on par with each other in regards to skill set.
Okay.
But the difference would be your naturalized players, how good they were.
Okay.
And unfortunately, when I was in Great Britain, British players weren't that good. They weren't that good. I mean,
so in the practice and in the games afterwards, you would chant USA, USA, US, just to remind them.
Well, yes. We got along extremely well. I said the difference between winning games for me and my experience and losing games was how good your naturalized players were. Because the Americans kind of matched up equally together.
Okay.
So that was the difference. And it's a team sport. And 2 Americans are not going to bring you wins when, you need the whole chemistry of the team.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about like the transition from basketball to what you were doing next.
But I've always been smart in the fact that I didn't really put all my eggs in one basket. So whilst I was playing professionally and getting paid for it, I was also on other opportunities.
Okay.
I studied again at the University of Manchester. I got a second degree in community and youth work studies from the University of Manchester. I was actively involved in mentoring young men in the community. I was a guest speaker. A lot of jobs that I had was guest speaking at different high schools, at different universities as a professional basketball player. So I was being paid to play basketball. I was also gaining that vital experience of doing other things, of creating other things.
That's good because I lived in Columbus for a while, and I see a lot of college athletes do the opposite. The jump from like college football to NFL, that's a big difference.
Huge.
And they think that, as an 18-year-old freshman, they think they're going to be playing football their whole lives, and then they didn't take school seriously, and now they're just known as the guy who did play in college.
Absolutely.
And, they're working for like a trucking company or something that's not like they're not keeping the trajectory of the growth.
I think that's very, to your point, Tom, I think important that, and I try to emphasize this with some young people that I work with now. 1% of people make an NBA team. Maybe 1.5% make an NFL team. The margins are so small, and you have to consider 3 things. Number 1, God. Number 2, timing. Number 3, luck. And you don't need just 1 or 2 of those 3 things mentioned. You need all 3. And I really, really try to encourage young people to focus on other things outside of sports, just preparing you.
So you're really maximizing, leveraging sports for other opportunities, which is exciting.
Yes. Sports for me, sports has been a positive tool for life experiences, life skills. It's taught me a lot. Being a teammate, depending on others, expectations, working hard. Sports has just been so impactful in my life. It really has. I think it's shaped the person I am today.
So after the 13 seasons, were you staying in Europe? Did you come back to the States?
No, I stayed over there because I started a family over there. I met a very nice young lady for 22 years. 2 beautiful kids, Evie Marie and Leon Crosby, who is actually here in Toledo, Ohio today.
Okay.
He's overseeing me on the visits.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I just stayed over there and got involved in different things. Then I advanced to be work manager, which I absolutely love. Mental health and well-being program in a high school over there. Yes, in a high school called Darby High School through an organization pronounced NICE or NICE. This was a clinical certification, a National Institute for Clinical.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was in Nice.
Right.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so I was certified to deliver emotional health and well-being in high school. It was interesting. This were high school students. I had my own office. I had the bean bags. I had the incense flowing.
Okay.
I had the blue lights. Yeah, it was, man. So just a little more about the program that I was heading over at the high school. So when kids got in trouble in school, right, the administrators there and the head of school, they don't call them principals.
Okay.
In Great Britain, they call them or they categorize them as heads of schools.
Okay.
Okay. They would, and the teachers, the students of the school, they would send them to me. I really enjoyed that. We would have one-to-ones, we would have group sessions, a whole lot of fun. And I felt like I was for me to be in the school and to head that program.
Yeah. I see you as community is a big, important piece for you. And like rising tides for all boats rather than just you getting ahead.
JFK.
Yeah, right. So where do you think that stemmed from? Do you think was that normal in your community growing up here in Toledo?
Yes.
Okay.
That was very good question. I appreciate that you asking me that. And I think I had very good parents, very supportive, me how to live the right way from an early age. Unfortunate or fortunate, I'm the only child.
I can tell.
So,
I'm kidding.
No, that's a good one. I have to ask you, how can you tell I'm the only child?
Any only child, I just say that because they're like, it's just the egg one.
I mean, that's a good one. But they taught me characters, they taught me integrity, responsibility, being accountable. And I had a very good upbringing, middle class, coming up, both had very good jobs, but I had to work for it. If I wanted something, my mom and dad would say, okay, you want this Terry, fine. What are you going to do to earn it? So I had to take the garbage out, mop and wax the floors. So that taught me really that things that you really are passionate about and want in life, just be prepared to work for it.
Okay.
Because this world, living in this world, are basically not just give you anything. You have to earn it.
Yeah, I see.
Type of thing. Yeah.
So you ended up staying in Europe, and then you're back here in the States.
Correct.
Full time, right?
Correct.
And then are you fully retired? I feel like you're a guy who want to retire, like you're always finding something else to do. You mentioned that you wrote a book about a year ago. You said it was a bestseller on...
A new release bestseller.
New release bestseller.
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And say the title again?
The title is, Do You Have the Balls?
Okay.
Question.
Basketballs. So I want to ask you, through your journey,
right?
Can you tell me a story that you listened to your intuition?
Yes. My intuition has always been to help people.
Okay.
Serve people. My early upbringing. And because we were a family that we were blessed enough to be able to have just a little bit more in our village where I lived than most families. A lot of my friends, they had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, or 2 brothers and a sister. So our family home was a neighborhood flop house. And my mom and dad made sure the entire community was welcome in our home.
Okay.
My mom would just cook big pots of everything, feed the whole neighborhood.
With the neighborhood kids.
Yes. And it's amazing because everybody didn't have it like we had it. Even at a young age, I would observe my friends coming over and I would look at them, how excited they were to just be offered a whole pot of food.
Yeah.
And they exploited that by hauling their plates up like Mount Everest. My mom, she was a mother for many of us, right? And she was like, Peter, you don't have to pile your plate up like that. Etiquette, class, teaching them quietly. And she would say to them, get a portion you want, and if you want more, just go back and get more. You don't have to pile your plate up where like you have to start to eat from the plate downward.
This is the scarcity mindset of just like, I need, I may not get more.
I'm going to get this right now while I can. And so that played a really significant mindset thing. That played mentally so powerful and pushing me forward and influenced me forward and others. You know what I mean? To always be concerned about others people's health and well-being and surviving. Be on helpful hand. That really influenced me
Tell me
early on.
the programs that you were making. Tell me more about the scarcity mindset that you were seeing amongst these kids.
Oh, are you speaking of the program of Great Britain,
Well,
or just in
general, like what you've seen here in the States, what you've seen in Great Britain?
right?
Because I believe that scarcity comes in different ways.
Right.
Where there's like the internal scarcity and the external scarcity.
Right.
So an external scarcity, it would be something tangible. We don't have enough food.
Right.
So the thing is, in your mind, you had enough food, but you're acting as if you don't. So really, it was like an internal scarcity. So I'm sure, like in your community, during your upbringing, it sounds like you guys were a bit more abundant, but I'm sure you saw other people that were in scarcity. You're seeing other people who are putting all their eggs in one basket to play for the NBA. Tell me more about like what you're seeing with someone with scarcity. How would you identify it? And like, what would you tell someone who has internal scarcity like that?
Yeah, I think a very good question. I think for me, and I need to be really extremely careful when I say this, what I really pick up on, even from people I've met before in my life, or people I haven't met before in my life, always towards their level of confidence, self-confidence, right?
Okay.
And it gives me a feeling that I need to talk to this person. Their vibes they're giving off me vibes that something maybe concerns me because they're finding it really hard to cope with. And so I always try to observe, and again, I need to be careful because I'm Terry Crosby. Everybody's Terry Crosby. I need to further understand.
That's something I've been thinking about is like specifically helping people. Am I trying to help them the way I want to help them, or am I helping them the way that they want to be helped? Because what you're saying, you're Terry Crosby.
Right.
Are you helping other Terry Crosbys, or are you actually seeing someone else, Tom Burden, and meeting me where I am versus like expecting me to? Because that's what I was doing, is like expecting others to be on my page.
Right. And that's why you need to be very careful with that, because Tom, you're your own individual, my own individual, and we do things the way we've been taught, okay? And I always say that at the end of the day, you are a product of your home environment. The comments from others or the opinions of others, I respect and appreciate, but I will fight every day for the fact of you are a product of your own home environment. I think that plays a very significant role in any of us going through different stages of our lives. I would back that up 100% because I am definitely a product of my own home environment.
But someone who doesn't have a great home environment, what would you tell them?
But just never, ever give up.
Yeah.
Things will get better.
Yeah.
Tough situation in life lasts for a period, but that shall pass too. I'm a motivator. Even if a person is a soft approach with very soft, and I have to really learn to listen before I could give, my take on things or my opinion.
I love what you're saying. I do these 10-day meditations, and they are all about observing. And it's interesting. Internally, we'll talk about observing our own feelings.
Right.
So if I'm feeling angry or anxiety or whatever, instead of reacting to it, just take a back seat and just observe it. So I feel where it is in the body. And what you're saying to not quit.
Yes.
And that they would say anicca, which actually I got a tattoo of back here.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. It was funny because everyone's like, who's Annika?
Right.
like it's not my girlfriend. It means anicca, which it means everything is temporary. What you're feeling right now is temporary. So what they say is to be in the observer mode while you're meditating. So if you're feeling this anger or anxiety, just remember this is temporary. Like you said, this shall pass. Where the person that we were talking about who may not have the best home life growing up, there's going to be a day that you're going to turn 18 and you'll end up moving out and you'll be able to pick your own environment.
Absolutely. And that's down to that individual person. So
I wanted to circle back around with what we're talking about with intuition.
Yeah.
You said typically your intuition is around supporting other people. Do you have a moment or a time that you could feel your intuition, you hear it, or there's a time that you're like, this isn't how I know this is my intuition?
Right. Pretty much every day with that. Really, I would suggest to most people, most of us as human beings, the word discernment kicks in heavy for me.
What's your definition of discernment?
If you're feeling it, follow it.
Okay. No, I agree with that.
If you're feeling it, follow it.
What I've been saying is, let's say there's 2 business ideas you want to go to.
Right.
And then there's one that's very lucrative. But if you're not feeling it, it doesn't matter how, and then someone that's like not so lucrative, like someone who's excited over like that has way more momentum than, because there's a lot of half crazy ideas, but with someone who's so excited about it, that's what really is what propelling it.
Absolutely.
Tell me a situation where you did not listen to your intuition.
This is a very regrettable story of mine. It did impact my life to such an extent of I really didn't achieve to my full lifetime potential. I have to be honest and transparent. When I got drafted by the Kansas City Kings back in the early 80s, I was a 3rd round draft pick. You had 60 people there trying out, 60 wannabe rookies, mixed in with draftees. I was one of the draftees. Yeah. And then I got through that. They cut it down to 25 members. And I'm getting more and more intense. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm getting more and more.
How many have they taken?
They're only taking 12.
12. And you start at 60.
Start at 60.
So it's almost 50-50 chance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so, boom, I make the final roster, right? Yeah. And I open up. I'm on the Kansas City bench arena in Kansas City, Daryl Dawkins, and we beat them. And that was the game where the first NBA glass backboard was shattered by a guy that was 6'10" and weighed 325 pounds of muscle.
Jesus.
Daryl Dawkins.
And not Shaq.
Okay. Right. No, this was before Shaq time, right? Daryl Dawkins, and he was called, and his nickname was Chocolate Thunder. Okay. And he literally, boom, slammed it, held onto the rim, and the glass just shattered in pieces, tiny pieces. And everybody was shocked.
What happens? Is the game just canceled? Because they probably don't have a second backboard.
Right. At the time, my only concern, Tom, was to run on the court and grab a piece of that fiberglass. Okay. I still have that now in my trophy case. The game was delayed for 45 minutes. They had to transport a new. We beat them. We also beat the Utah Jazz, Chicago Bulls, and the LA Lakers with Magic Johnson. So I was fortunate enough to play 4 games. And by the way, I have to brag about this. TC went undefeated, 4 games and no defeats. But unfortunately, they released me from the team because of politics. And there's 3 things that you need along with your skill set, especially back then. It was very, very difficult. You needed God, you needed timing, and you needed luck. Yeah. And you need all 3 of those at the same time. I got released. Cotton Fitzsimmons, who was the head coach at the time, called me into his office at Crosby. You had an excellent camp. We really wish we could keep you, but we've decided that we're going to keep Marlon Redmond. The year before, he had signed a guaranteed 2-year contract. Mm-hmm. So they didn't want to get rid of, have to pay him his last year of his 2-year contract.
Locked in, and that's why they went with him.
Yeah, because pay him his last year of his 2-year plus my 2-year guarantee I was trying to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're okay. So right. Then they were wanting you to hang out.
Hang out. And at the time they called it a reserve contract. So I don't know, you're going back in the 80s, I was going to get $10,000 a month. Okay, I wasn't on salary, $10,000 a month back then in the early 80s. Mercedes-Benz, I would have had to stay at Plus Hotel, okay. But just stay in St. Crosby. You're not going to travel with the team. And when we are back home in Kemper, we want you to sit on the bench. Okay. And Tom, why did I do this? Hothead, 18 years old, thinking I'm all world.
You're 18 at the time?
Yes.
Okay. That's a big decision.
Sorry. I had to be 21 because I had graduated. I had spent 4 years at the University of Tennessee.
That's still a big decision.
And you know what I did? I looked at Cotton Fitzsimmons and said, no, that's not what I'm here for. And he was like, and my agent was calling me, Crosby, get back to camp. And they want to keep you. Just have to be patient. You have to be patient. They offer you a reserve contract. Okay. And to this day, that really bothers me. That was not a practical decision, and it was the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. Because I seriously believe if I'd have done what I was asked to do, that I would have stuck in the NBA for many years.
Tell me what sparked that decision-making.
When you work towards a lifetime goal all your life, through grade school, through high school, through University of Tennessee, and you get to that ultimate point of excellence to say, I'm here and I made it, And those dreams, you're told that those dreams are not going to happen like you thought they would, despite your lifetime efforts. I was emotionally hurt about being released from the team. I didn't deal with it very well emotionally.
You wanted to play right then.
I felt that I deserved to. That's why they offered me the reserve contract, because I had an excellent rookie cap, excellent exhibition season. Played 10 exhibition seasons during that before we opened up the regular season. So I knew that my skill set, the examples of my performance going through all that, deserved to have a spot on that 12-man roster.
Those 4 games that you played, did you start?
No, I was on the bench.
Were you able to play?
Yeah, I played after game.
Okay.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and out of that lineup, because the guy that they decided to stay with, he claimed he was hurt the whole time. Marley Redmond claimed that he had an injury the whole time. Okay, let's see what Redmond's doing versus what Crosby's doing, because he wasn't there.
I see.
He wasn't there. You know?
With him being hurt, they couldn't put you in?
Yeah, the point I'm making is because he was hurt, they couldn't compare how Redmond was playing to Crosby. He had 1 more year left, so they had to pay. He was hurt. So the whole cap he refused to face me. Yeah, he refused to play. And he kept claiming he was hurt. I think it was more of just a broken heart. Out of high school, I was everything in both football and basketball. And in my neighborhood during that time and in the city of Toledo, anybody was going to go pro, it would be me.
Yeah.
That was the perspective of Terry Crosby.
Let's go back to when you made that decision. Do you feel that your rational decision-making went out the window? Or even listening?
It was very irrational.
You're right.
I hold my hands up on that one. It was very irrational.
Yeah, yeah. The method to the madness of what we were talking about before, of knowing that this will pass. Like the word of Nietzsche is, having that heartbreak, that is temporary. We could just sit with it and allow yourself to feel it.
Absolutely.
You still were able to have a great life, travel the world, but the path may have been a bit different.
Absolutely. I would like to add on, I strongly believe that God makes the final decisions. My mom always had to remind me that there's reasons you're not playing in the NBA. If God wanted you to have those opportunities, he would have granted you some opportunities. What we don't do, ever question God.
Yeah.
And so that calmed me.
I feel brings you more into the present instead of constantly going to the past and feeling guilty or like you did the wrong decision.
Absolutely. But can I be perfectly honest with you during this interview? It still hurts me very deeply to this day. I'm able to manage it a lot better than I have in previous years of my life, but it's still there. It's just that I witnessed other local players from here that came after me. They're qualified to be an NBA player for X amount of years. It's just unfortunate that decision at that time that I make. So I have to put a lot of lack of success to a certain level to me. Yeah, that's on me. I can't blame anybody else because I was given a opportunity, but I refused to take it at the time. So really where it hurts, quite often I think about it. Yeah. What were you doing? What were you thinking about? But I also have to have some grace for me in realizing that I'm 68 years old now. I was 21, 22 years old then.
You still haven't been able to control the past. That's a pretty interesting process of just like letting go of the past and accepting what you did, which was you ended up in the UK.
Absolutely.
And to a point, what the people that you impacted or were around in the UK or Italy or France, that would have never happened.
Absolutely. It does me a world of good when I hear this and they say this to me. What are you talking about? You've had a great life. You know what I mean? And it's like, boom.
It's interesting to reflect on because sometimes I have that with everything with Grip Mat where someone asked me earlier today, what was it like getting a deal with the Sharks? And I told him it was very surreal. But really what happened is right when I got off stage, I actually couldn't celebrate. I went to my little trailer and a lawyer from each Shark came in. They told me next steps. And then I was like, all right, we got to figure out how to get to Vegas on the next plane. And I actually was more focused on being stressed out of getting the plane ticket rather than just saying, holy shit, that was amazing. Receive,
wow.
It's kind of crazy. Like it's hard to like receive a great life. Going to the UK, it's my girlfriend's dream. Yeah. And also the concept of it's interesting of the perspective. In some ways, you can sit here and have the perspective of, wow, you fucked up. What are you doing?
Right.
And then you also control the perspective of, oh, actually, that was pretty a wild ride. A black man in his 20s from Toledo
Right.
going to Europe, that's a pretty wild life.
I mean, especially at the time, there weren't many Ohio players in England.
Yeah.
You know the group, the Ohio players, right? The funk band.
What was funny is whenever I'm traveling, people will be like, where are you from? Where are you from? It's a guess. They're always like, California, maybe Australia. When I tell them Ohio, they're like, so like, aren't you like a surfer? No,
you don't, Tom. You don't look like a typical Ohioan. Trust me when I say that.
They're like, where's Ohio? Some will be like, is that in the Midwest? Is that in the middle of West? No, it's actually more Eastern. It is in the middle, but it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's like when I was over at Great Britain, I got so sick of this, man. When I first arrived here, especially during the first couple of years, people would say, like, where are you from? And I'm proud of Toledo. I love Toledo, Ohio. Yeah. I think it's an incredible city to be born and raised. But I would say Toledo, Ohio. And they would be like, where? So eventually, I got really frustrated about people not knowing where I was born and raised from, right? So I just started saying, I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. That's a little easier.
And then they would say, oh, you from Detroit? Oh, I know about Detroit.
I want to go back a bit. Let's say when you got to the UK, if you could talk to yourself then, what would you say about giving yourself grace?
Just a man with the compassion, with a man with the boldness, a man to know that I'm going to make this work regardless of where I land, because I want to continue to play professional basketball. I want to continue to play professional basketball. And like I said earlier in this interview, back then it was very different and very tough. For the weather is different, it's different, the people are different, the attitudes are different, just everything is not what you're used to. And it's very difficult to adjust to it. My first couple of years, believe how many American professional basketball players would come and be my teammate. 2 weeks later, they were getting back on the plane. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
Couldn't cope.
At that point, like in the UK, were you hard on yourself about the decision that you made?
No, because I think it eased it a little bit because I was able to continue to play the game that I loved.
Okay.
Even though it was in Europe. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though it was in England. I think that took a lot of the past away.
Okay.
And made the past allow them to more focus on the present.
What your mom would say is, sounds like God wanted you in Europe.
Absolutely.
So we needed a little hothead 20-year-old
decision. And if I could just add on to that, she also said to me, that would really worry me, son, if this world offered you millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I never really understood what she meant by that.
Yeah.
But now that when I analyze and dig a little bit deeper, I realize that sometimes mothers know best.
Because with the perception of if you were to stay in the NBA, the perception is that you would most likely make more money, and then therefore you would be happier because you had more money.
Yes.
And through your experience, has that always been true? More money is more happiness?
No, not at all. You have to learn how to manage that.
More money does mean more happiness when you have none. The first 50, 60, 70, under 100 grand, it's proportionally like someone who is making $30,000 a year, if they make $35,000 a year, that can be very impactful to their life.
Absolutely.
They can now buy a bicycle to ride to work. They don't need to take the bus. They can feed their kids and not stress about it.
Absolutely.
Where the thing is, when you're getting into the million, if we have the belief that more money equals more happiness, now we're really in this trajectory where the difference between 10 million and 11 million, you're not 10% happier. We don't know what would have been the alternate universe, but potentially what your mom is saying is that you may have dodged that trap. And really what happens with that is what's funny is everyone wants to be rich and famous, but every single person knows someone who's rich and famous who killed themselves.
Right.
Out of finding out this is not what it was supposed to be.
Absolutely. Or unhappy.
Right. Yeah. Or unhappy. Yeah. At the minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say everyone who's rich and famous is unhappy. I'm sure that there's some people, but the percentage of people who are rich and famous, it's not 100% is happy. And potentially you may have dodged that. Really, you and your journey got to redefine what is happiness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of times, just on the tail end of what you just articulated, is money is power.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
I think what my mom was reflected on her only child was, I have to question how you would have managed.
Yeah. As a 20-year-old, how
Yes.
did you handle that level of power?
Yes. Because there's rules in the world.
I think more specifically, money can be power over other things. Really, without money, you still have power over yourself.
Absolutely.
How we act, how we treat others, how we react. So I think,
Yes.
especially at that young age, it's a high opportunity to confuse those two powers. You can go buy a Mercedes, but that might not make you happy, where you actually are the controller of your happiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's why you're here.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, touching base with that, I think the other thing, and I reflect on this, I know at that stage of life, being in my early 20s, with the contract that I was trying to get in, they don't pay ridiculous money like they do now. I think my first year was $500,000 back then, which was decent back then.
Yeah, 20-year-old.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah, absolutely. In the 80s,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? My mom was trying to articulate to me that with your personality, the person a young man you've grown up to be, with all this money, you would be like, America has rules. You know what I mean? Everywhere you go, there's certain things that are accepted, things that are not accepted. And I think T.C. Crosby, with a whole bunch of money, I'll be cutting in front of lines, not abiding by the rules. Mm-hmm. If there's a boxing concert going on and you have a line of people waiting to get in, I may have felt at the time, because I was Terry Crosby in the NBA and I got money, I'm just going to walk in front of everybody, you know, because I'm an NBA player and this is what we do. Mom's a smart man.
Yeah, she knows.
She gave birth to me.
Yeah. So last question I want to leave you with is, if you could go back at the beginning of your journey, I guess, with basketball, what would you tell yourself about the value of intuition?
First of all, be patient. I think this applies to a lot of us. And it's very difficult when I say just be patient. It's not that easy, because humanistically, we want things to happen when we want them to happen.
Yeah.
Life is not always that way.
The patience of sometimes not doing anything is
Right.
harder than wanting to react.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of method to that madness.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Absolutely. And I've learned over the years, and we all, as we grow and become a year older and we go through life experience, I've learned that patience is a virtue. That's very important.
What is a virtue? Because I've heard patience is a virtue. I was always like, what is a virtue?
I was getting ready to ask you the same thing.
Hey, Terry, thank you so much for all this
Tom,
amazing knowledge.
It's been beautiful, Tom.
Yeah.
It really, really has. And such great conversations, man.
Yeah.
And thank you for allowing me to be the guest of your show.
Yeah, it is a perfect guest. I'll check out your book, Do You Have the Balls, right?
Question mark.
Okay. I'll check it out.
All right.
So, hey, thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Share this with a friend, like and subscribe. And if you want to learn more about how to hear your intuition more clearly, check out this video right here, where I show you 3 questions you can ask yourself to identify the difference between intuition and anxiety.